Let's bring in our right-thinking man from the left coast, James Hirsen. James, it's so good to have you back here on America's Forum.
Good to be with the three wise persons.
Very,
That's
right.
Very politically correct. Nicely done.
Nice.
And in the realm of the
You
politically
learn that out here.
in the realm of the politically incorrect, these emails going public, just how inflammatory were the comments between and among these Sony Pictures execs?
They're so inflammatory that Al Sharpton has already smelled the blood in the water, and he's already weighed in, saying that Sony CEO Amy Pascal's apology is not enough. And there's been a tweet by Shonda Rhimes, the African-American woman that produces television shows like Grey's Anatomy. She said it's not racially insensitive, it's, quote, racist, close quote. And the thing that makes it so striking for most Americans who look at this story is that these are the same people that tout this currency of political correctness, where they're trying to tell us to be sensitive, where they're supporting a political party that also travels in this kind of currency of sensitivity. And then in their private life, they're using what is crass humor that, frankly, if it was used by a politician, say a Republican politician, and those emails were released, they'd be calling for their heads.
James, does this expose Sony to any potential lawsuits and backlash?
Well, I'll tell you where the lawsuits don't come from the insensitive emails.
Of course.
The lawsuits come from the release of secret trade and financial information. There's long been a euphemism in Hollywood called creative accounting. Creative accounting is where they say they lose money on nearly every film if someone has a percentage of the net profit. And so they tell one thing to their people that are contractually getting compensation on what is called the back end, and they tell another thing to Wall Street. And those numbers are in some of the revelations that have been released by this hack. So that could result in some additional lawsuits. As far as the insults, fortunately, our courtrooms would be very crowded if people could sue over mere insults. That doesn't arise to, like a defamation lawsuit. If, in fact, we find out who the hackers are, if it's North Korea, of course, this is an invasion of privacy, and that would create a lawsuit for that. But what it really is destroyed business relationships. And in Hollywood, when a business relationship is hurt, it takes a bit of time, probably some gifts, and maybe extra money to smooth over the relationship. Scott Rudin also insulted Angelina Jolie, calling her a minimally talented, spoiled brat. And he had a close relationship with her up until recently.
James, I tell you what, we have to take a break here, but as we go, I just want you to think about this for a moment, right? Just think about this. The possibility exists that we've now been shown how unintelligent Hollywood is in many ways because they would send Seth Rogen and James Franco to assassinate Kim Jong-un. Think about that for a moment. If you're really going to send bumblers, send the best. So you get a couple minutes to think about that.
And, and we will be having you back on the other side of the break to talk about more intrigue in Tinseltown. That as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV. Let's continue our conversation with the right-thinking man in Hollywood on the left coast. It's our pal James Hirsen. James, there's more to this whole deal with Amy Pascal. Now we get word that Maureen Dowd, the columnist for the New York Times, apparently had something going in terms of depicting Pascal in a positive light. She had emails going to Miss Pascal's husband, Bernard Weintraub, and sure enough, it shows up in the columns. So what does this do to the New York Times and the future of Maureen Dowd? James, does Modo go the way of the dodo?
What a great rap song that would be. No, I mean, look, this shows a breach of journalistic ethics. Maureen Dowd promised to show Amy Pascal, who at the time I was co-chair of Sony, show a column before it was published, presumably for her approval. This is the New York Times. This is the standard of journalism in the United States. And this is Maureen Dowd, probably one of the most famous columnists, supposedly independent and a fiery thinker who apparently kowtows to people in Hollywood. It's just staggering to see it. It harms definitely the reputation of the New York Times, the reputation of Maureen Dowd, and once again, the reputation of Amy Pascal, who's had, this amazing career in Hollywood. She is really beleaguered right now.
James, let's go ahead and spin then. When you talk about reputation, let's talk about Bill Cosby and Beverly Johnson, a former supermodel who has now said that she was also one of those who was allegedly sexually assaulted by Bill Cosby. Honestly, when you look at this, Bill Cosby is either the guy who is undertaking and is being hit with some of the strangest and some of the most outlandish allegations in the world, or else he is one of the more well put together serial rapists in the history of Hollywood here. Honestly, it's such a dichotomy between the two sides of the man that we have known. This has got to be the end for him.
No, it's a great way to express it, Ed. That dichotomy is painful. It's painful for everyone because he's such a beloved person and character. You think of Cliff Huxtable, who had the allegations of serial rape, and the problem is that the sheer number of women with very credible, similar stories keep coming. It's just, it's way beyond really any of public figure scandal that we've seen in a very long time. I mean, it's beyond Michael Jackson, beyond Tiger Woods, and we're seeing the total wholesale destruction of Bill Cosby's brand to the point where it's disappearing from the airwaves. Right now, the only thing Bill Cosby has left in his career are live appearances, and who knows how long that will last. Beverly Johnson, known as I believe the first African-American cover girl that achieved notoriety, a very beautiful woman. It's staggering.
Right, and we just want to point out that she is alleging that she was drugged. She is not alleging that she was sexually assaulted, but again, it does come down to the entire case about Cosby, which speaks to sexual assaults.
Right, and James, you were talking about credibility. A lot of pundits for black-based media outlets said they did not believe the allegations against Cosby. Does this change now that Beverly Johnson has come forward with this?
We got about 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to the credibility, it isn't fair that we're judging him in the court of public opinion. And now there's been a defamation suit filed, and maybe there'll be some cross-examination here. I mean, there was one lawsuit that was settled, but, there are allegations. You're innocent till proven guilty, but it doesn't matter because the brand has been destroyed.
The euphemism and the watchwords of the new century, the brand has been destroyed. James Hirsen, thanks so much for your time as always. We appreciate that good dose of right thinking from the left coast. We're going to leave you smiling as America's Forum continues.